All right, welcome to the deep dive. You know how this works, right? One of you awesome listeners sent in something that's really grabbed your attention, and today we're diving deep into cashvertising.
Yeah, Cashvertising by Drew Eric Whitman.
Exactly. So we're going to extract the juicy bits, the core principles of persuasive marketing and advertising, just like it says in the title. This is your shortcut to understanding how to really sell something, how to influence decisions without having to read the entire book. And you know me, I'm all about shortcuts, but the good kind, the kind that actually work.
And we're going beyond the surface here, looking at the psychological triggers and emotional levers that drive those buying decisions. It's about understanding those hidden forces that make us say yes.
Love it, love it. And just to lay it all out for everyone, cashvertising gets into things like human psychology, emotional triggers, specific marketing techniques. What I found really fascinating was this concept of the 8 life forces, the idea that we all buy things based on these fundamental desires.
It makes sense, right? We're not just buying a product, we're buying into a feeling, a solution to a deep-seated need.
Absolutely. So Whitman lists out 8 of these life forces, but we'll focus on the ones that were really highlighted in the book: survival, sex, comfort, and social approval. And when you think about it, almost every purchase can be traced back to one of these. Like, take survival, our most basic instinct.
Well, think about insurance ads, for example. They're not selling you a piece of paper. They're selling you peace of mind, the feeling of security, the promise of protection for you and your loved ones. That's tapping right into that survival instinct.
Right, right. And then there's sex, which is more than just, well, sex. It's about attractiveness, desirability, feeling confident and good about ourselves.
Exactly. Perfume ads, fashion, even cars, they often play on this desire to be attractive, to stand out, to, turn heads. It's subtle, but it's definitely there.
And then comfort. Oh, comfort. Who doesn't want that? Think about those ads for those like super comfy mattresses or those ergonomic chairs that promise to make your back feel amazing.
That's pure comfort marketing right there. They're not selling a chair, they're selling you relief from back pain, a more comfortable life. They're promising you, well, comfort.
And then we have social approval, which, let's face it, we all crave to some degree. We want to fit in, to be accepted, to be seen as successful or cool or whatever it is that our particular tribe values.
Think about brand loyalty, how certain brands become status symbols. You're not just buying the product, you're buying into a group, an identity. You're saying, I belong.
It's powerful stuff, and it's not always conscious. But that's what makes this so interesting, right? It's like we're peeking behind the curtain of marketing and seeing the wizard pulling the levers.
And speaking of levers, Cashvertising also talks about emotional triggers. These are specific words that just seem to grab our attention and make us want to know more. Words like free, new, and secret.
Oh yeah, I'm a sucker for free. Who isn't, right? There's just something about getting something for nothing that makes us feel like we've won, like we've gotten a great deal.
It's like that little dopamine hit, that sense of reward that makes us more likely to pay attention and maybe even, open our wallets. And then new, it just triggers our curiosity, that desire for novelty, that feeling of being in the know.
It's like we're hardwired to be drawn to new things. And then there's secret, which makes us feel like we're part of something exclusive, like we have access to information that most people don't.
It plays on that fear of missing out, that
Yeah.
sense of urgency, that desire to be in the loop. And all of this is tied to the broader psychology of persuasion that Whitman delves into.
Yeah, he talks about how emotions like fear, curiosity, and urgency can be used to influence our buying decisions.
Think about those ads that warn you about the dangers of not having enough life insurance, or those that show you images of people suffering from a particular ailment. That's fear marketing at its finest.
It can be pretty effective though, right? Especially if it's done well. And then curiosity, well, we already talked about how new and secret can trigger that. But there are other ways to pique our curiosity, like posing a question or hinting at a solution to a problem we didn't even know we had.
Exactly. And then there's urgency, which is all about creating a sense of scarcity, making us feel like we need to act now or we'll miss out. Think about those limited time offers or those countdown timers that you see on websites.
They're designed to get us to make a decision quickly without overthinking it. And it works. How many times have you bought something just because you were afraid it would sell out? I know I have.
More times than I care to admit. But it's not just about manipulating emotions. Cashvertising also talks about effective copywriting techniques.
Yeah, like how to write headlines that grab attention, how to tell stories that connect with people, and how to use scarcity to make your offer more enticing.
A great headline is like a hook. It has to grab you and make you want to keep reading. And stories, well, they help us relate to the product or service on a personal level.
All right, we're not just buying a product, we're buying into a story, an experience.
Mhm.
And scarcity, well, we already talked about that. But it's worth repeating because it's so effective.
Definitely. And finally, there's the power of social proof. People are more likely to buy something if they see that others have already bought it and are happy with it.
It's like that herd mentality, right? We're social creatures, we look to others for cues on how to behave.
Mm.
And that's why testimonials, endorsements, and reviews are so powerful.
Exactly. They provide that third-party validation that we crave, that reassurance that we're making the right decision. It's like having a friend recommend a product to you. You're more likely to trust them than you are to trust a company's marketing materials.
So there you have it. That's Cashvertising in a nutshell. The core life forces that drive our buying decisions, the emotional triggers that grab our attention, the psychological principles that influence our choices, the copywriting techniques that make marketing messages more persuasive, and the power of social proof.
And the cool thing is, these principles can be applied to so much more than just marketing. They can help you in your personal life, in your relationships, in your career. Anytime you need to influence or persuade someone, you can draw on these insights.
Food for thought, right?
Yeah.
And here's a little homework assignment from you. Think about the last few purchases you made. Which of these life forces or emotional triggers played the biggest role in your decision? And now that you're more aware of these techniques, how will you approach marketing messages differently? It's all about being a more informed consumer, and maybe even a more effective communicator in general. All right, that's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.